In the quiet hills of Ephraim lived a woman whose pain was invisible to most people. Her name was Hannah. She was not a queen. She did not lead an army. She was not famous in her time. Yet her silent suffering would later shape the destiny of a nation. Hannah was married to a man named Elkanah. He was a good man by the standards of his time. He loved Hannah deeply, but Hannah carried a burden that love alone could not remove. She had no child. In ancient Israel, barrenness was more than personal sorrow. It was public shame. A woman without children was often seen as forgotten by God. Every passing year deepened Hannah's wound. Every crying baby she heard was a reminder of what she did not have. To make matters worse, Elkanah had another wife named Peninnah. Peninnah had children, many of them, and she never let Hannah forget it. Whenever the family gathered, Peninnah would watch Hannah closely. She would whisper sharp words disguised as jokes. She would ask cruel questions that cut deeper than knives. Why are you so quiet, Hannah? Maybe if God loved you, you would have a child by now. The Bible says Peninnah provoked Hannah constantly, especially when they went to the house of the Lord. What should have been a place of comfort became a place of tears. Year after year, Hannah endured this torment. Elkanah tried to comfort her. He gave her double portions of food during sacrifices, showing his love in front of everyone. He would say, "Am I not better to you than 10 sons?" But Elkanah did not understand something important. Love does not erase unfulfilled purpose. Hannah did not just want a child. She longed to be a mother. She longed to carry life inside her. She longed to hold a baby and know that God had not forgotten her. One year, during their annual journey to Shiloh, something inside Hannah broke. They had finished eating and drinking. Peninnah had spoken again. The familiar ache returned to Hannah's chest. But this time, she did not run away to cry in secret. Instead, she stood up. Hannah walked toward the temple of the Lord. Her steps were slow, heavy, and unsure. Inside the temple, the priest Eli sat on his chair near the doorpost, watching worshippers come and go. Hannah did not notice him. Her heart was too full. She knelt down, and then she prayed. But this was not a normal prayer. Hannah's lips moved, but no sound came out. Her tears fell freely. Her shoulders shook. Her soul was pouring itself out before God. This was not a prayer of beautiful words. This was the prayer of a woman who had reached the end of herself. She said, "O Lord of hosts, if you will look upon the affliction of your servant and remember me, and not forget me, but give me a son, then I will give him back to you all the days of his life." This was a dangerous prayer. Hannah was not asking for a child to satisfy her pride. She was asking for a child she was willing to release. She was offering God the very thing she had been begging for. Months passed after Hannah's prayer in Shiloh. The days were ordinary, but something extraordinary was happening beneath the surface. Quietly, gently, God was at work. Hannah began to notice changes in her body. At first, she dismissed them. She had hoped before, and hope had disappointed her too many times. But this time was different. The weakness felt unfamiliar. The nausea came without warning. Her heart raced with a fear she had never known. Could it be? She waited. She watched. She prayed again, this time not with tears, but with trembling expectation. Then the truth became undeniable. Hannah was pregnant. For a moment, joy overwhelmed her. The kind of joy that steals your breath. The kind that makes your knees weak. The kind that makes you whisper, "God, you really heard me." But joy was quickly followed by fear. Because Hannah remembered her prayer. She remembered the vow she made in her deepest pain. She remembered the promise spoken through Eli, and she remembered the words she had said with her own mouth. "If you give me a son, I will give him back to you." Now God had answered, and Hannah knew something important. Answered prayers still come with responsibility. When Hannah gave birth, she named her son Samuel, meaning, "I asked for him from the Lord." Every time she called his name, she reminded herself of where he came from. Samuel was not just a child. He was a miracle. He was proof that God hears silent prayers. As Samuel grew, Hannah watched him closely. Every laugh, every step, every cry pierced her heart with both joy and sorrow. She loved him deeply, fiercely, completely. And yet, she knew her time with him would be short. In Israel, children were usually weaned around the age of 3. That was the age Hannah had decided she would fulfill her vow. Until then, she stayed home while Elkanah went yearly to worship at Shiloh. When Elkanah asked why she no longer came, Hannah answered calmly, "After the child is weaned, I will take him to the house of the Lord, that he may remain there forever." Elkanah looked at her. He trusted her. He knew her heart. And he said something remarkable. "Do what seems best to you. May the Lord establish his word." Those words settled heavily on Hannah's spirit. The day finally came. Samuel was no longer a baby. He could walk. He could speak. He could recognize his mother's face in a crowd. And that made the journey to Shiloh harder than Hannah ever imagined. As she dressed Samuel that morning, her hands shook. She sewed a small robe for him, carefully stitching love into every thread. This would not be the last robe she made for him, but she didn't know that yet. The road to Shiloh felt longer than ever before. With every step, Hannah battled her heart. What kind of mother gives away her child? Why would God ask this of me? Can I really do this? But Hannah understood something that many people do not. The child was never hers to keep. When they arrived at the house of the Lord, Hannah brought Samuel before Eli, the same priest who once misunderstood. Her pain now stood before the living proof of her prayer. She looked at him and said, "My Lord, as surely as you live, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord." Eli listened carefully. "I prayed for this child," Hannah continued, "and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life, he will be given